Well, thank you so much, and good morning to everyone. It's a great pleasure to share with you the experience of Bogota once more. Thanks to Maimuna for leading us in our urban sustainable agenda and for reminding us every day that it's not forgetting the urban sustainable agenda, but actually is to putting it at front, the best way that we can lead with both the causes and consequences of this pandemic of COVID-19. I think in Bogota, there has been some issues that has been key to be able to manage in the best way possible to save lives, save employments, because both things are equally important through this pandemic. The first thing is that before we know the pandemic was going to start, we proposed a new social contract and a new environmental contract for the 21st century, our road development plan for the city. And I can be more proud of that vision because that's precisely the vision that we need to lead with the consequences of the pandemic and even with the causes. A new social contract means, for example, that in Latin America and in Bogota, we cannot continue to have the base of our social contract more than 50% of our economy is informal. So we don't have a social security system paid by entrepreneurs and by employees to take care of their health, of their care, of their long life. But instead of that is the unpaid work of care of women, what is actually the social base and the social contract of that informal economy. That, of course, exclude women from the economy, from development, from sustainable development. And instead of that, recharge them with an overburden that makes our society, in a very negative circle of feminization of poverty, of exclusion, and of course, of very low social mobility. As we know now in Colombia and Latin America in general, social mobility is quite low, precisely because you are attached to factors such as the level of education of your mother, which determines pretty much your own income, or even worse, the race or the region that your family is come from. Those three factors determine 70% of every Colombian children's life in the future. So going to a social contract that includes women, that provides them with time to take care of themselves, with time to educate themselves, and with time and education skills to come back to the labor market. To have self-sustainable women is to have self-sustainable societies. And that's why the center of our new social contract in Bogota is the system of care for women, to provide them precisely with these three things: time for themselves, care for themselves, and education and labor opportunities for themselves. And I think that should be the very center. We're very proud. We're learning rapidly from Uruguay, which is the only country in Latin America which has a national care system. And we're leading this opportunity to build a city care system for women. That's quite an innovation, and we hope to move it forward. The second thing is education, both for children and for youth. That has been a tragedy, the pandemic, and the fact that kids cannot come back to school soon. I think that one top priority, both for women and for children and for the society as a whole, is to manage so well the pandemic so that our first top priority is to allow kids to come back to school. Recently, the reports show that our kids in school descend 30% in all the indicators, from mathematics, from science, to social development, to emotional development in the year of the pandemic. That's a tragedy for the present and next generation. So our first top priority is to allow the health conditions that allowed us to come back, progressively and with all the care and biosecurity norms, but come back soon to schools, both for the future of our children, but also for the future of their mothers, because otherwise they are overburdened with this care and they cannot come back to the labor market. The third thing is to make a more, we need to step up in improving the time of education we are providing our kids. We need to move quickly, to a more STEAM-based education that allow our kids to include in the types of works of the 21st century. But it's not only good quality, inclusive education, it's also affordable education. That's why Bogota, by the first time, is providing zero cost. I mean, not zero cost, but zero cost for families. Of course, we are taking care of the cost as a society, both for university, for the public university in Bogota. By first time, 23,000 students are having, zero matricular cost for them to study. And also in the secondary and primary system, and providing not only education and good teachers, well-trained teachers, but also, food for them, so that we can have a sustainable education for them. So that's, and the fourth thing of our new social contract is to provide a basic income to fight extreme poverty in this time. A basic income, a good and zero-cost education, the system of care for women. And I will refer later on to the new environmental contract, which is continue improving our network system, our transportation system, moving it forward to the electric buses to reduce air pollution. That's part also of a greener city and sustainable city in Bogota, and that's what we need, I think, to move forward, and what we're trying to move forward with Maimuna and the report that we're going to see tomorrow around the world.